that's big business. Hit 10, but that's big pimpin'. My potential, that's infinite. Pin game insane. Make hits like King Griffin, a 10th inning.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number
63, I believe.
63. 63 of the 10th Inning Podcast. As always, I'm Sean. He's Dan. We're no longer together, but
let's see what I got for you.
doing.
I got a coaster, Sean. A coaster with a spectacular photo on it. I find it to be a spectacular coaster.
That is spectacular. That is very spectacular, actually.
And I got good news for the pod, Sean. I am getting a new laptop. Just went today, ordered it. So we will have some crisper picture quality, hopefully some even better audio. Obviously, the mic does a little bit of help with that, but should have some crisper picture quality coming soon at you. So look forward to that.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it as well. And you may notice I'm a little more brighter tonight. No, I did not get more knowledge. I'm not smarter. I'm brighter because I have a little circle light that Dan gifted me for Christmas. Folks, he is as sweet as you think he is. Gave me a little light. I'm a little brighter, and now you can see my beautiful face that much more. So frankly, Dan, it's not just a present to me. It's a present to the entire audience out there. Yeah. And everybody thanks you.
That's for you guys. Okay, that's for you. I know. Listen, I got this. I don't know if you see this one line I got through my face. That's my Christmas present to you. You get to see an extra me, a little bit of a brighter Sean. Look over there. Listen over here. Okay, you'll have a good time tonight. Well, we're gonna talk about tonight, Sean. We did the infield last week. At the end of it, if you guys remember, Sean took quite the lead in the cumulative score, which I'll run through again. We ranked our top 10 at each position last offseason. And if you got it right on the button as far as WAR, how much they had at the end of the year, you got 5 points, 3 points if you were one slot up or down, and 1 point if you were 2 slots up or down. I mean, Sean, pretty neck to neck as far as total WAR for our top 10s and our scores. And right at the end, Sean kind of did a little bit of a jump up for the score, but I have a slight lead in WAR. So I seem to have had slightly better lists. Sean seemed to have had slightly more accurate lists. Don't know how that could be possible, but that's the 10th Inning Podcast for you. We'll see what happens after Outfield tonight. Any predictions here, Sean? Sean might not be with us tonight.
I don't know.
Nope. We'll be right back. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun.
So based off my list, I think that the total number of score as far as accuracy of our list will decrease. I at least know from my list that was the case. I'm hoping that's the same for you, so I can stay neck and neck with you. But it was definitely not quite as high scoring as the infield. So
yeah, the outfield's a little bit off. We used to think about outfield like right field. There's like 8, like elite, like the top 8 players were all right fielders.
Yeah,
outfield's starting to get a little bit more shallow than it used to be. I feel like first base and shortstop's kind of a more deeper position now. Even catcher's getting there. I know we talked about a little bit of that last year. But second base, third base, and outfield's kind of getting a little bit more thin. Just for you fantasy baseballers out there, maybe you want to draft thinner positions first. But let's jump into it. You want to talk about center fielders first, Sean? Or you want to talk about right fielders first?
I have right fielders first. Actually, I have left fielders first, so I really just screwed everything up. So you can go wherever you want to go first.
Huh. Well, let me see. Let me see how I'm feeling, Sean. Because I did it based off how Fangraphs had it listed, because we were using Fangraphs for WAR, not Baseball Reference WAR, just to be clear to everyone. And I believe – what am I believing here, Sean? I believe I have right field first.
Okay.
So let's hop over there. It's tough because Aaron Judge is at the top of both lists, and it gets a little bit confusing because Aaron Judge played a lot of center field this year. But I do have right field first, considering I see Kyle Tucker and Soto in there. So just going over this year's top 10, excuse the burp, of course. Number 1, we had Aaron Judge with 11.4. A little note there, Sean, I believe that was the highest WAR of all time. So congratulations out there to Mr. Aaron Judge for that. Not shockingly. Crazy season he had. Number 2 is Mookie Betts. A little bit of a bounce back year for Mookie. little bit. Not that he was terrible, but the wrist injury, the hamstring, he's been a little bit off the last couple of years, but really put together a great season, including the power this year, coming in 6.64. Kyle Tucker was third. Varsho was fourth. We talked about Varsho a little bit last week as far as the catcher situation, and he got a big trade over there from Moreno. We got Taylor Ward coming in fifth, sneaky because he was hurt a lot. It also might not have been someone who qualified just from our previous conversation. I want to throw Taylor Ward in there. 3.8 WAR. Juan Soto tied with him in sixth. Adolis Garcia in seventh, backing up his big year last year with another really good year. Starling Marte in eighth. Lars Nootbaar in ninth. Sean, did you see that coming?
No, I did not. However, Lars Nootbaar, I saw a video of him today hitting in just his boxers with a bunch of things strapped to him, measuring his heart rate and whatnot. So very apropos, I feel like.
I didn't know where you were going with the boxers after that, but it seems like it was to enhance his baseball.
He was hitting nukes in
Okay,
boxing, yeah, and it was measuring his power, I guess.
and tied for 10th, we have three guys: Hunter Renfroe, a guy that gets traded every year; Anthony Santander, a guy that kind of had a little bit of a down year last year, but bounced back to his 2020 season, had another good year in 2022, and then Trace Thompson out of nowhere getting, we'll call them minutes with the Dodgers at this point.
Yeah.
Getting some playing time, racking up 2.5 WAR. That was shocking to me, even as a Dodgers fan. I mean, he came in and played some big minutes for us down the stretch, Sean, we'll say. But I didn't think he racked up 2.5 WAR. Again, I think we could see the shallowness of the position out here.
Yeah, I would agree. Outfield, like we said, is not it's very fluid, Right fielder can play left field and center field. It's pretty all over the place. So if some of you guys say that some of these guys aren't qualified, according to Fangraphs, well, we work with what we got, and we try and be as realistic as possible. So
now, Sean, let's talk about our list and how we matched up here. Do you want to go first or second?
I can go first.
Go for it.
Do you want me to give my points totals as well? Who got the points, or do you want me to just run through it first?
Do the whole jazz. Do the whole fucking jazz with me.
Okay, so well, right field here. I had Mike Yastrzemski 10th. I got 1 point for that one. 1 point, had a nice year. I was a fan of him. Thought he'd do well, and he did. Charlie Blackmon at 9th. He had 0.1 WAR. Not ideal whatsoever. Behind him, I had Kyle Tucker at 8. Obviously, I underranked him. I didn't get any points for that, as he finished third? You said in the WAR for right fielders.
Yes. Then I have a question for you, if you don't mind. What did Yastrzemski finish out with WAR?
2.2.
Good for him. Good for Mike. 'Cause I didn't check because I didn't have to see if he came in 13th or whatever or 11th.
Yeah.
To see if I got a point.
Yeah, he had a solid year. He's just a nice, solid player. And then Mitch Haniger, 0.8 WAR. I didn't get any points that at 7. Nick Castellanos at 6, who had a negative 0.7 WAR. I don't know what I was thinking when I went with that. But you win some, you lose some, and then Nick Castellanos drives on the deep left field.
That's right.
Now number 5, I had Aaron Judge. I actually went back and watched our ranking video from last year to get my list because I had them all written down, but they disappeared. Gotta love that. So I ranked Judge 5th. Leif, coach, basically had a heart attack when I ranked him 5th. Threatened to protest the rest of that podcast and the episode. And I kind of laughed in his face and said that, he gets injured too much and yada, yada, yada. He has the talent, but he gets injured. Well, I ate my words. I had him 5th. Like you said, he had the highest WAR of all time with 11.4. So I just got 0 points there.
Yeah.
Tough L, but it is what it is. And number 4, I had Mookie Betts. So I got 1 point for that because Mookie Betts was number 2?
Yes,
and
he
I
was.
had 4, so I got 1 point for that one. Then I had Bryce Harper in 3rd. He had a 2.4 WAR, but he hardly played right field. He was injured. He DH because he had was it a shoulder injury? So that if he had played right field, he may have only a 2.4 WAR. So yeah, he wouldn't have been anywhere close to 3. Then at number 2, I had Ronald Acuna at a 2.2 WAR. He didn't, have much of a year because he was injured, quite, recovering from the injury. So I got no points there. Then I had Juan Soto at 1, who still had a 3.8 WAR, which isn't too bad considering how off of the year he had just in general. I'm looking
Yeah.
at his numbers. Again, no points there. So the total score for that particular position, right field, I only got 2 points. The cumulative WAR, the total WAR for this particular position for me was 33 and a half.
Okay.
So my rankings could have been better, but I had a lot of guys on there just not necessarily in the right ranking. So
Sean, I got to tell you, you did a little bit better than me. Believe it or not, you had a higher
really,
war total than me. I don't know who you put on there. I think whoever you put a guy on there that I didn't put on, and the guy I put on got negative. So, but let's go through it. I'll go 1 to 10. I'll do the opposite for you guys. Soto, I had number 1 as well. Again, the 3.8. Um, Listen, he came in tied for 5th right fielder WAR in the worst season possibly of his career. So we'll take that out of Juan Soto. That just shows the kind of talent he has. Number 2, I had Acuna as well with 2.2 WAR. The guy just did not look the exact same coming back from injury. We're hoping, another year further down the road, he does better. We've seen with players when they have big injuries, the first year back, they're just not exactly the same guy. And then the next year, they're okay. A la the New York Football Giants and Saquon Barkley had to fit it in some way.
Saquon.
Playoff bound now. Playoff bound. Playoff bound. Let's hope that.
Hey, not to go off the rails, but any other Giants fans out there, you're welcome for putting up 38 points. We were in attendance, and they had the biggest point total in about 10 years.
That was us. I was out there rooting for my baby boy, Danny Dimes. He scored 4. Might have had his best game of his career because I was there. Okay, so you're welcome.
What do you think his WAR was? I don't know.
A lot that game, Sean. 4 tuggers. My number 3 was Harper as well. We were pretty similar through the first 3. Again, a big injury for Harper through most of the year, kept him either in the DH role or out. Number 4, I had Judge. So, by the way, no points for any of those players. No points for Judge as well. 1 too far away, unfortunately. With 11.4 WAR. Number 5, I had Betts. Again, 1 too far away. You had him 4th, but I had him 5th. So still too far away to get any points there. Number 6, I had Kyle Tucker. Again, 1 too far to get any points. I do that a lot. I missed by just about 1. Number 7 here, Nick Castellanos. Listen, Sean, I know you said I know what you were thinking. I know what we were thinking. Nick Castellanos is supposed to have a huge year this year. First off, he goes to the Reds, right? We're talking the best place to go and hit.
Phillies, you mean?
Phillies, I'm sorry. Goes to Citizens Bank, one of the best ballparks to go and hit. You think that his offensive numbers would get better, considering, the ballparks he had played in before in Detroit and in other places, those are not hitters' parks. So, when he played with the Reds, obviously. However, we're talking Citizens Bank Park in that lineup with Harper and Rhys Hoskins and all the other guys. You assume that his numbers would get better or be the same. They got a lot worse.
Oh yeah,
so we kind of missed the boat there, unfortunately. But a lot of people missed the boat on Nick Castellanos. I had him for 32 ding dongs, 287 average, and let me tell you, it didn't happen. But the next guy I missed on also, I pegged for 29 homers and a 280 average, is Avisail Garcia. I thought he was going to break out a little bit, and negative 0.6 WAR. A little bit better than Castellanos this year, but not by much. So that really hampered my score. I had Haniger 9, the 0.8, like you mentioned earlier, and Blackman 10, the 0.1, like you mentioned earlier. Did not work out. 30.7 total WAR for the position, bringing up my cumulative to 196.3. I believe that's probably pretty close to yours now, Sean. I would imagine.
For WAR?
Yeah, after center fielders.
Yeah, I was at 33 and a half for this one.
Yeah. So my cumulative is now 196.3 after the infield and this. I don't know if you have that.
I did mine. Mine is I did right field or left field first, so I don't have.
So yours is going to be. We'll be surprised.
Yeah, we will.
My cumulative score, Sean, is now 32 because I got 0 points there for the entire position. I got 0. However, we do have the one guy that I say I'm closest with, and he was not on my top 10. There was really no guy on the top 10 I got too close with, but a guy ranked just outside my top 10, and the guy I said to watch, Julio Rodriguez. I actually think I was pretty close with my projections for him, which is crazy because I always overproject rookies. Hard to overproject Julio. I said 23 homers, a 286 average, a 360 on base with 16 stolen bases. Instead of 23 homers, he had 28 homers. Instead of a 286 average, he had a 284 average. Instead of 16 bases, he had 25. And what was the other thing I said? Instead of, I guess, his on base 360 on base, Sean, he had 345. So, a little bit of ways in the homers, and maybe 15 points in on base, but 2 points away in average, pretty close in stolen bases. I would
Yeah.
say I take a win on that.
Yeah. I also, when I watched the video, you also had Jared Kelenic in here in the outfielder rankings, and I think you had about a 280 average for him, and I think 20 something home runs, and we both said we hope they would pan out, and one of them did. So
One of them did. Yeah. We have the winter meetings possibly later tonight. For our dynasty league, I might be dropping or trading Jared Kelenic effective immediately. We're trying to figure out as an organization what we should do. It's tough to keep trying with that. But moving on, Sean. Let's go to center field because that's listed in the middle no matter how we do it. You want to give the center fielder WAR rankings?
yeah, just give me 1 second here, and I'll pull it up.
Sure. I can do it.
That's,
I have no problem doing it.
no, I can do it. I just had to go from or right field to
Gotcha.
center field, and then I just got to change the filters real quick to
Okay.
0. All right. So now they have Aaron Judge as center field in here. We didn't rank him as a center fielder.
Right.
So that, at least for me, might throw off some of the rankings. But nonetheless, I'll include him in the top 10 according to Fangraphs. Like I said, Aaron Judge was number 1. He had, like you said, WAR of 11 points, the WAR of 6 even. Outstanding. And now number 3, Brandon Nimmo. He had a hell of a year, offensively and defensively. He had a WAR of 5.4, good enough for 3rd. Now 4th, Julio Rodriguez, your boy, WAR of 5.3. Michael Harris, the 2nd. Did not know he was the 2nd until now. A WAR of 4.8. And we had Dalton Varsho. Underrated. Very underrated. Just dealt a couple weeks ago. The WAR of 4.6 for good for 6th. George Springer, number 7, WAR of 4.2. Byron Buxton, the often injured Byron Buxton, with a WAR of 4 even, good for 8. Adolis Garcia from Texas with a WAR of 3.8 for 9. And Cedric Mullins, the 2nd, also the 2nd, definitely did not know that one, with the WAR of 3.4. So that rounded out the top 10 in WAR.
And a couple interesting things to note. The first thing, that Trout played 115 games, still had the 2nd most WAR. So Mike Trout is still freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Another thing to note,
Yep.
Buxton did a very similar thing with 4 WAR, so Buxton had a pretty good year. Another thing to note, a lot of the guys we rank, Judge, even Rodriguez, I ranked him as the right fielder coming into the year because I thought Kelenic would be manning center field. We've seen this in the infield as well. So many guys we rank at a certain position. How many guys had position changes this year? You know what I mean? Playing a different position. So that kind of throws it off a little bit. 4th thing to note, Dalton Varsho, I think, has been in every single top 10 WAR list. So congratulations to Dalton Varsho making it. I hope we see him next week on the pitcher ranking, Sean. I think he might have got enough WAR to scrape in there if he got enough innings on the mound for Dalton. So good for him. Do you want me to give my little team first?
Yeah, sure.
So I had Trout ranked number 1 for center fielders. And you know what I'm going to do, Sean? Considering I got 0 last time and I'm already losing, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to say Aaron Judge is a right fielder because that's how I ranked him. And if I would have known he was a center fielder, maybe I would have put him on. I'm going to give myself 5 points for ranking Trout number 1 because he was the number 1 center fielder in my mind based on my rankings. Number 2, I had Ketel Marte. That didn't go as well. Ketel had another weird year where his peripherals looked great. His exit velocities looks great. His launch angle looks great. It's not he's hitting the ball on the ground too much. And then numbers just aren't there. He's like an every other year guy. One year he's amazing. Next year he's not good. He's never gotten back to the 2019 juice ball homer era where he's hitting 30 ding dongs. But the peripherals still say he should be a 280, 290, maybe even over 300 hitter, with a lot of doubles and extra base hits and stuff. It just has not happened last year. We'll hope to get a rebound next year. Springer, I had third, no points there. A little bit too far away. He was actually seventh. He had some injury as well. In fifth, I had Starling Marte. Number 6, I had Cedric Mullins. No points for any of those. Number 7, I had Brian Reynolds. No points for any of those. Brian Reynolds, by the way, was 11th with a 2.9 WAR. You could count him as 10th if you're not counting Aaron Judge in there. But we won't go that far. Jared Kelenic, I had 8. Sean, he had negative -0.1, which I will say is better than Nick Castellanos and better than Garcia, strictly because he didn't have enough playing time to get to negative -0.7, although I do think he would have accumulated it if given a chance. Luis Robert, I had at 9, who had 2.1 WAR, and Cody Bellinger, I had at 10 with 1.7 WAR. I will say, though, at 11, I did rank Brandon Nimmo. Just want to throw everyone out there. I was decently high on Nimmo. I have been high on Nimmo for a little while. Couldn't sneak him in my top 10 last year. Looking back on it, I wish I did over guys like Bellinger or Kelenic, but the upside there was so crazy. You kind of had to sneak him in there. It's a lot of upside. Some guys missed. But I did rank Nimmo at 16 homers, 280 average, 400 on base. That wasn't the guy I thought I was closest with, but I do want to say I did think he'd have a phenomenal year, which he did. Didn't think he'd be as good defensively, which is why I probably didn't think he'd get enough WAR. But he really turned himself into a great defender. So my total score for that position, Sean, was 5 because I cheated with Mike Trout, bringing my cumulative score to 37, still much below yours. And my total WAR for the position was 28.6. Sean, break me down your center field rankings from last year.
So, well, since you're cheating, I'm cheating. I Trout as one as well. So I had 3 points, is what I said, but now I'm bumping up to 5. So thank you for that.
Of course.
So Trout at 1 for me. George Springer at 2, no points there. Starling Marte at 3. He did not play center field at all this year. Cody Bellinger at 4. He had a 1.7 WAR, no points there either. Ketel Marte at 5, like Dan said, very weird year, very weird career for Ketel. 1.4 WAR, no points. Byron Buxton, I had at 6. He had a WAR of 4. I got 1 point for that. Cedric Mullins, I nailed at number 7. So I had 5 points there. And I'm seeing your look. Did I mess that up?
I think Mullins might be 10.
You know what? I may have done this stat before I had the qualified versus unqualified.
Okay.
So that means I would have no points there. So take 5 points off my score.
I'm sorry.
That's tough. That is tough.
Hey, at least we cheated.
Yeah. I had Kike Hernandez at what is that, number 8. He had a 0.5 WAR, no points there for me. Adolis Garcia had at 9. He had just shy of a 4 WAR, but I had him lower in list, no points there. And Luis Robert rounded out my top 10. Did not get points there, which is unfortunate. So my total WAR for center field position was 30.1. My total score was 11. Now subtract 5 from that. That is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Total score of 6. I'm going to go cry. And I got to take it off my total score on the bottom now.
It's a lot for you. Listen, but that's both outfield positions. You beat me in total WAR because you had Adolis Garcia over Kelenic, and I forget who you had in the first one over the Garcia I had. Keep forgetting his name. What Garcia did I have, Sean?
Avisale.
Mini Miggy. So you beat me on both of the WAR. Your outfielders did better than my outfielders, so I think we're probably almost even, if not, you haven't taken the lead in cumulative WAR as well. So congratulations there, Sean. And I only had 5 for my total score. So frankly, you've beat me in both total scores as well. But we got one position left. One position left. One last shot here for me to take a win tonight, and that's going to be left field. I'm going to go into it for you, Sean, if you don't mind. The top 10 left fielders this season. Number 1, a little bit of a left fielder, a little bit of a DH. I played a little bit more games at left field actually this year, and that's going to be Yordan Alvarez with a 6.6 WAR. Everyone knows how crazy of a year he put up. Slowed down a little bit at the end for some injury hampering, and then in the playoffs he looked pretty good as well. But 6.6 WAR out of Yordan. Number 2, Stephen Kwan, 4.4 WAR. No one saw that out of him. Big rookie campaign for Stephen Kwan. Congratulations to him and his family. Number 3, Ian Happ, 3.5. A guy that we talked about maybe could have snuck into that Silver Slugger situation, the NL outfield spot. Number 4, Benintendi with 2.8. As we could see, since we're saying 2.8 at number 4, the left field position, Sean, Benintendi can't be the 4th best left fielder in baseball. It is a thin position right now.
Yeah.
Number 5, Mark Canha, 2.8. Number 6, Randy Rosarena, 2.7. Number 7, Kyle Schwarber, 2.6. That defense definitely doesn't help Kyle Schwarber's WAR. Number 8, 2.5, Trace Thompson. How about making 2 top 10 WAR situations? Who bet on that? Cash that out tonight. Number 9, Sean Jurickson Profar. That's our guy. Number 10, Jake McCarthy, rookie for the Arizona Diamondbacks at 2.3. And I put number 11 here. Why? Just in case you wanted to mark Yordan as a DH. Yelich had 2.1. Just if you guys were interested in the 11th spot. But take us through who you had in the top 10. Because I don't know about yours, but mine was decimated. I will tell you, my total WAR for left fielder this year, Sean, was about as low as you could possibly ask for. I'll tell you my total WAR for left fielder, Sean. Well, I'll tell you after you say yours.
Okay, all right. My left fielders were pretty poorly ranked. I had Teoscar Hernandez at 1. I heard that was a hot take. It still proves to be a hot take. He had 2.4 WAR, no points there. I'm not even sure where he finished on the list. I don't remember off the top of my head. Now, number 2, another hot take. I had Brian Reynolds at number 2. He had himself a solid 2.9 WAR. Nothing, too crazy, but not good enough to get a ranking, or get a point there. Chris Bryant, number 3. He had a 0.6 WAR, no points there. Tyler O'Neill, 1.3 WAR, not cutting it there for me at number 4. Number 5, Jesse Winker. What happened to Jesse Winker? That is.
I traded for him. That's what happened.
Yeah, no, it's the Jared Kelenic syndrome. Moving on, I had 6. I had Alex Verdugo. Again, no points there. Christian Yelich at 7, no points there either. Randy Rosarena, I had at 8, and I got 1 point there because Rosarena was at 6. So we'll take that. Marcelo Ozuna, negative 0.6, no points there. Number 10 for me, Eloy Jimenez, no points with a 1.7 WAR. A total score of 1 for this position. And my total WAR for this position was 14.9.
Yeah, as you can tell, guys, that is half of what almost every other position has been at. Left field is in the gutter, folks. The gutter.
Yep.
Sean, what was Chris Bryant's WAR this year? Because I didn't write that down somehow.
Chris Bryant's WAR was 0.6.
0.6. Thanks, Sean. Thank you, Sean, for that. Because that should really beef up my total WAR. I might have to quickly re-add my total WAR just to see. I mean, Sean, it's worth it for me, believe it or not. Talking about, I want to go back quickly to center field, if I may. My guy I was closest with, and believe it or not, it was a guy who didn't play center field this year, Sean, and that would be Starling Marte. I thought he would be. I ranked him as a center fielder, Sean. He didn't play it because of Brandon Nimmo. But let's talk about how I thought Starling Marte would do to make myself feel better before I go into this crap dumpster fire here of left field. I thought Starling Marte would hit 16 homers this year, Sean. That's what I said. Do you know how many homers he hit? Take a guess.
13?
What?
13?
16.
How many?
16.
16?
Nail on the head there, Sean.
Wow.
Nail on the head. Okay. I said Starling Marte would hit 282. You know what he hit this year, Sean?
290?
292. Okay, that's within range there.
Yeah.
I thought Starling Marte would have a 340 on base. What did he have? A 347 on base, Sean. Okay, that's close to nail on the head.
Yeah.
And I thought he would have 36 stolen bases. Unfortunately, he did not play as much. He had 18. I don't think he would have gotten to 36, but homers, on base, and average, I was pretty dead on with Starling Marte, so I'll give myself a little pat on the back there. But we've delayed it as long enough, so let's get into my left fielder rankings here. I had Tyler O'Neill as my number one left fielder. Tyler O'Neill, after putting out the greatest year of his career, hit the bed ski. The power was down, the speed was down, the defense was everything was down with Tyler O'Neill. Something happened. I feel bad for him and his family. I hope he figures it out next year. But to have one good year and then be ranked the number one left fielder, the position has to be weak as it is. And it proved it because he wasn't even top 10. So moving on, Jesse Winker, number 2. That's 0.4. No points, obviously. Just to be clear, I got no points on this position. So I'm not going to tell you if I got a point enough for these people. Okay. Number 3,
Okay.
I had Christian Yelich, 2.1 WAR. To believe it or not, he was the second highest WAR total for me as a left fielder, and that's 2.1. And then my number 3 guy really, was the star of the show, Kyle Schwarber, 2.6 WAR. Number 5, Marcelo Zuna, I had in there at negative 0.6. So good for Marcel. Number 6, I had Chris Bryant at 0.6. Number 7, I had Michael Brantley at 1.2. I would say it's a miss, but frankly, 1.2 is close to the 7th best left fielder in baseball. Number 8, this is up to you. Now, I had, how for some positions I said, like the Jeff McNeil thing, I said, if they let these guys run, this is where they would be ranked. I had officially AJ Pollock in there, but I did shout out Jock Peterson that he could be the ace if he got every day at bats, and he got pretty close to it. So that's up to you with whose WAR I'm going to go with, because Pollock had 0.5, Peterson did have 2.1. So I'm gonna ask you, Sean, who should I get?
So you officially said Pollock, is that what you said? I
officially said Pollock. I said Peterson could be the 8th best. He was my shout out. If he gets full playing time, I would put Peterson here. But I didn't lock it in.
I'm in the Christmas spirit still, so I'll give you a gift, and you can put Jock Peterson there.
Sean, that means so much to me, believe it or not, because that actually just finally put me over. Because if I got Pollock, I would not have made it over Aaron Judge's WAR total for this season for my entire 10 men of left field. That slightly puts me over Aaron Judge's year for the position. Frankly, Sean, you're only at 14, so it's not much more anyway.
Yeah.
My number 9 is Verdugo, 1.2. Number 10 was Eloy Jimenez with 1.7. Bringing my total WAR to 12.6 for the position. My total WAR after outfielders 235.4. Where'd you end up with, Sean? After the 3 outfield spots.
After the 3, what was your number again?
235.4.
235.4. I'm at 241.1.
Is that after DH2 or just the outfield?
That's after infield and outfield, no DH.
So you came back and beat me. That's tough to hear, Sean. And your total score is going to be higher than me as well.
61.
Yeah, Sean, because I am at 37. So, guys, you're looking at the winner here. Congratulations. Your prize is the ring light. That's tough. That's tough on the soul. What I will say though is I do have one more player that I got to say I was close with on left field. This just shows you how bad my rankings were. Again, it'll be a guy outside of my top 10 I was closer with. Thank God I made these the top 10 for the not top 10 lists, because if I didn't, I would have no one to talk about. Randy Arozarena. And I said he would hit 22 home runs this year. He hit 20. I said he would have a 260 average and a 330 on base. He hit 263 with a 327 on base. Right now, we are no more than .03 away in any category, and that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And stolen bases, I said 16. Sean, he finished with 32. Okay, so listen, the stolen bases I have not been too great on, but let me tell you, I was 2 homers away and almost nail on the head with the average on base for Randy. So I will take that all day,
As you
even
should.
on a Sunday. I'm visibly upset, Sean.
I can tell. Yeah.
I'm
No,
visibly upset.
I don't blame you.
This is tough. This has been tough for me. Were you able to get to DH? Are we
I
just?
was not, but if you want to go through yours, you can.
I'm gonna go through mine, and then you don't have to do yours. We'll do pitchers next week, because honestly, DH was much of a position anyway. Um, I had the number one DH last year as Otani. I got 3 points there, and I'm gonna. You don't do yours, I'll add mine. I'll still lose. That's the issue of the whole thing. Um, my cumulative score even after DH is 43. The WAR I would beat you with. I got a little bit more WAR, but the score I would lose for sure. Otani actually finished fourth, or I'm sorry, not fourth. Yeah, fourth. Uh, Alvarez, I had number two. He finished number one, 3 points there. Nelson Cruz, I had number three, negative .8. Unfortunately, Nelly finally had the year where he just aged out a little bit. Looks like Father Time finally caught up to Nelly. Had Stanton at number four, he had 1.2 WAR. Teoscar at number five, he had 2.4 WAR. Soler at number six, he had 0.5 WAR. JD, the Dodgers' new outfielders, JD Martinez, 1.0 WAR at number six. And then I had Franmil Reyes at number seven. He had negative 1.1 WAR. That is the highest negative WAR we've had on the podcast so far. So congratulations to you, Franmil. The actual top 10 list, which I didn't go over, let me do that quickly. Jordan, number one at 6.6. Springer, number two at 4.2. Springer had a lot of time at DH this year. Buxton, number three at 4.0. Otani, number four at 3.8. Kirk, number five at 3.8. Wilson Contreras, number six at 3.3. Luis Arias, number seven at 3.2. William Contreras, number eight at 2.4. Justin Turner, number nine at 2.4. And Bryce Harper, number 10 at 2.4. You see a lot of older guys and some catchers in there. We really don't have a lot of great DHs still in the game of baseball. You'd figure after this rule change, we'd have some guys like, oh, those are the DHs, the big poppies or whatever.
Yeah.
Other than like Otani, who is only a DH because he pitches, and possibly Jordan in the future, who's the best? Who's a DH in baseball? Because Cruz is kind of on his way out now. Do you know of a DH?
I can't think of any young and up and coming DHs aside from Jordan, who's already established.
That's the thing. So that is, I think that's going to be a position that position that's kind of got to grow. People got to start taking advantage, because every team's got just a guy that can just hit. We don't got to look at defense. So I'd be looking at that being a bigger factor coming up in the future, especially with prospects. Every team can start to look at guys, even in the National League. All 30 teams can be like, okay, this guy can't field for shit, but we have a spot for one guy that can just mash and have an everyday DH. Right now, teams are using it as like just get an extra bat in there from one of your bench guys. But I think we're going to start to see teams having like big poppies on their roster that can just swing it like a Rowdy Tellez, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll see the National League maybe start to adapt that philosophy, because the American League's had it obviously. The National League, it's new to the league, so it may take a year or two for them to kind of get it all figured out.
Yeah. Anything else you want to tell the beautiful fans at home?
Daniel Jones is a good quarterback.
Man, it ain't just me anymore. That's all I gotta say is it ain't just me. Give me one second here. Give me 1 second. Something. Let's try a little. Let Danny dime. Okay? Let him dime, babes. Let him dime. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the 10th Inning Podcast. We will see you and the New York Giants next week. Okay? Not him. He won't be playing. You know why? He's too good. They're going to sit him, they're going to rest him. We'll see you next week for pitcher rankings. God bless.